No leggy here, no leggy here. There's a big leggy here.
Hordes of creatures driven insane by ley energy are coming from all over. Are you going to help?
Alright, let's go. We should make sure that we're a healer, actually. Hold up. Okay. Wait. We want to be able to revive people. Alright, cool. Well,
Think you can help?
we also want stability over... Yeah. Let's do it. As long as we don't get one tapped here, we'll be fine. We gotta make sure that we change maps to Desert Highlands. Everybody's healthy, no problems. 74%. So, as I was a new player, I was introduced to this game by many people, and all of them were better than me at the game in terms of knowledge, etc. And so I was always just kind of being dragged along through content, you know, and being kind of coached. And I remember that friends group split up just because they all wanted to do something different in the game. And their ambitions being different, especially everybody's ambitions being different, including mine, we just kind of ended up not really spending a lot of time with each other playing the game. And so this is kind of weird and frustrating, but one thing that I was desperate for was to find a way to keep the group together by doing something that, you know, rewarded us all equally, which is gold farming. This is before fractals really became such a big thing. And this is before Heart of Thorns, actually, is when I started playing the game. Just before Heart of Thorns came out. And so, knowing this, one of the most important things when it comes to everybody enjoying themselves and being able to stay together has been, what is the gold farm looking like? How can we all be doing something that rewards us equally? And doesn't require the most effort, necessarily. Raids is really good gold, especially full clearing. But being able to full clear requires like a high degree of skill and effort and knowledge. And so we were once full clearing twice a week. No longer. We are super rusty, and the game has changed quite a bit, and there's more encounters now. And so we have a lot to do to recover that competency. And it's not a rush. It's not a rush, like it's not a race of any sort. But World Boss Train and Legendary Bounty Train, or just Bounty Train in general, is a way for everybody to kind of be together and get rewarded together. On to Crystal Oasis, then the Desolation. Backtrack I shall. Okay. So, Legendary Bounties are on a 30-minute cooldown. We'll go back to Crystal Oasis and we'll double check the Choya. And the Vishnu? Actually, we missed all 3 Legendary Bounties in Crystal Oasis, so hopefully they all come back at the same time, and we can just kind of spam through them. But yeah, being able to find something that's a bit brainless, or not brainless necessarily, but something that requires, you know, minimal effort. Everybody can stay together and you know, work together to get some gold. I think it's very, very valuable. It's very, very nice, and it is one of my more enjoyable things to do in the game. Thing there. So we'll keep track of this timer before we move on. 30 minutes, so that should give us about maybe minimum 20 minutes or so before these come back. So we'll keep track of it. Yeah, about 20 minutes. So on to Elon. We're going to do all the legendary bounties and backtrack to be able to get them. There's not very many of them. A full bounty train takes about 4 hours, but a normal legendary bounty train should take about an hour or so, maybe.
Seeking adventure, fame, reward. Take a look at our bounty contracts. I hear an angry noise showing signs.
We will also take ourselves out of the LFG and move ourselves to Elon. Let's see, everybody here, everybody ready? We will be posting food once we have a 5 in our squad. We just need 5. Don't need too many. Food is nice. Let's go. I like fractals, and it's been a joy to take Max through fractals. Being as they're a newer player and they have only really experienced T1 fractals, I was able to embolden and inspire them to do tier 4s. It just requires a little bit of gold to achieve 150 agony resistance. And then everything else there is just about coaching, really. One of the most important things to have to keep this game casual, whether it's in raids or PvP or PvE, is the capacity to support. If a player cannot support and they only play DPS, the game will be hard. And the game will be hard. The game will be hard. Why is the game hard? Because support is a job that if nobody does it, everybody suffers. And there are many jobs in life like this. Not everybody has the capacity or the competency to heal, and if they don't, and the encounter forces everybody to be great at their positioning, but they don't, then the group will suffer, and the encounter will become unwinnable. And we don't need that. And so all the content that I do is casual because I'm an excellent healer, and I am a sub-optimal DPS, but a very consistent DPS that doesn't typically die in like encounters. And so what does this mean? Well, a dead DPS is no DPS. And even though my DPS is approximately 30k on Golem right now with only one class, which means that I one-trick, I have wing 1 through 6 full clear experience, and it's not close. Like, I have a lot of experience there. There's a wing 7 and maybe even a wing 8, but it's not really a big deal. We are looking to get back into the swing of things, but first we need to get that 4th set of legendary armor onto our alt account so that we can start to practice the world record benchmarks and get back into the habit of doing them and obtaining them as muscle memory. Big brain, it is big brain. To know many rotations is big brain, and we only have so much brain power, which is why I limit the amount of reading that I do and the amount of effort that I put towards other tasks, because I need to save myself for the more complex things in gaming or in life that I'm doing. And Guild Wars, especially rotations, raid mechanics, positioning, positional awareness, it is probably the most complex or most difficult style of learning and task that I've done in gaming up to date. And there's been a lot of games that I've played. To say the Guild Wars 2 raiding is the hardest content I've ever done is an understatement. Having to rely on 9 other players in order to accomplish a major task that requires severe knowledge is unusual. It is very unusual. A lot of times, like especially in Counter-Strike, I can just, maybe carry harder, and my team doesn't matter. Like in the perfect example that I have in a Dust competitive where I 1v5 clutch or kick, and not every game allows that. Overwatch especially does not allow that. Maybe it does, and maybe I have just not seen enough footage of individual player skill carrying in Overwatch 2, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Whereas, like, you can be like 40 and 2 KD in Counter-Strike, like in very high elo. So, Guild Wars raids very hard, requires a lot of knowledge, big brain, and the struggle is real. But we all work together to accomplish the task. So, there is that, and that's fun. And that's fun with a heavy burden of investment from the player. This? It doesn't require any investment from all the other players. It just requires that somebody's leading, and that happens to be me today. So, yay. Exciting. It is, you know, very enjoyable to not have to think so much and to just relax and work together, and everybody wins. That's why I like Fissure so much in Warframe, and that's why I like world bosses or bounty trains in Guild Wars. Very relaxing. Very enjoyable stuff. Looks like most people are here. Let's go. I will be playing several other games today, including Counter-Strike and Unturned. It's yet to be decided whether I'm willing to waste resources to play Final Fantasy Draft on Magic the Gathering Arena. And that is because I have not studied the set and I don't know where all the power creep is coming from. The last time I drafted the set, I picked the 2 strongest colors, and that went okay, but I only got 2 wins. I'm going to need more wins than that if I'm going to be doing a premier draft. So if they have a quick draft, then we're just going to spam through and do the Final Fantasy quick draft. But if not, then we are going to have to at least study the spoiler for the maybe top 15, top 20 cards in the set in order to have a better like assessment of what not to pass, and maybe like do an actual like thoughtful draft where we make choices on deck design based around what options are optimal within the card pool as they're passed to us. Okay, so there's 2 spots there. I think there's only 2 legendaries on this map if I recall correctly. Okay, so now we backtrack. Okay. So in that order we shall check Desert Highlands and then Crystal Oasis. There are 2 more legendaries on the Desert Highlands, and there are 3 legendaries on Crystal Oasis. They're on a 30-minute cooldown, so we will do our best to keep up with them. There's Isani.
Reports of creatures driven insane by lasers here coming from all over.
And we will move the LFG. A lot of micromanaging. A lot of micromanaging. Someone's got to do the suffering, or so I was told. I guess we can get rid of the leaving in 10 minutes deal here. Okay. Insani is here. So we will be going back to this waypoint. I'll never forget the first time I experienced a world boss. It was Queensdale, Shadow Behemoth. And it surprised me, and I didn't know what was happening, and everybody was just kind of like, you know, there doing this thing, and it felt epic. And I'll never forget being in POF and having players, or especially in Heart of Thorns as well, like people doing hero point train. So a hero point train and the legendary bounty train are just the bounty train. Those things are a big inspiration for me because it's like somebody else is doing the heavy lifting and that everybody gets the reward. I really enjoy this kind of situation where somebody takes it upon themselves to put in the work and carry harder and just be kind of the person organizing. And that is one of the jobs in life where if somebody doesn't do it, everybody else will definitely suffer. And so I'm happy to see it. I've been led by other people, and now it's a chance for me to give back a little bit and lead. Even though as a veteran player, there's a definitely a higher skill ceiling that calls to me, but it does take a lot of effort, and it can be very Monka-esque to struggle and deal with raid fatigue. So it's nice to be able to just like be super casual, and everybody wins. I enjoy those situations. We do have 5 people. Let's drop some food. We'll get to the boss. Looks like most people are here. And we'll drop some food. So we just need to not get one shot, and we'll be fine. We got our food, so everything's good. Yeah, so the charm and whimsy to the game is playing it blind and not really knowing so much about the game and just kind of like struggling, but being uninformed allows the player to experience the game the way that the developers intended it to be. And running into these like very nuanced and sophisticated like dungeons and open world content like the world bosses or bounties is very nice. It's like not having spoilers a little bit. And so that's definitely a part of it that I enjoy, and part of why I was so enamored, by those things. It's very charming to have something kind of spawn out of nowhere and just not really know how to address it. And in this case, whenever there's legendary bounties around, especially, like the players have to work together in order to defeat it. Like a single player can solo it, you have to probably have celestial gear, have really good raid rotations, etc., and that's not really what we're doing here, but for that kind of vibe, my endgame is really based around fashion and dungeons. I very much enjoy dungeons, and soloing dungeons, especially a raw, is definitely on the back burner for us. Let's go see if we can find another legendary here. That one sprouted, so hopefully this is in line with the cooldown. Nope. Okay, we shall continue. If this one is up, that means that maybe more than likely the other 3 are going to be up here as well. It should be about a 20-minute cooldown. Who knows how far along we are? Nothing here. So if we find nothing here, then we will move on to the Desolation, and then continue to kind of get through these as much as we can. No legendary here either. A lot of backtracking today. I periodically host a full bounty train, but that takes 4 hours, and I don't really feel like spending 4 of my 8 hours streaming doing the bounty train. I just want to focus on like doing the legendary bounties and then moving on to a bunch of other games. Today, that is the goal. The goal today. We made pancakes from scratch today. It took about an hour to make. I would love to make like a week's worth of pancake batter and just like have that chillin' and just be able to make pancakes every day. Okay, so we move the group, move it to the Desolation. All good, no problem. All we really need is 1 DPS in our group, but it is helpful if the other players can participate as well. For as much as this train is bouncing around, it doesn't do it as much when it's a normal full bounty train. And part of the reason for this is because we get enough time to get the cooldowns. So I'm beginning to understand the pros and cons of doing either. If I have the time, it's much better to do the full train. It is quite taxing. One of the first few times that I did it, I ran into a player named Max, and I learned quite a bit from them. But also, it's been quite nice. It's always nice, you know, getting a person into fractals, because it's like a endgame content, and yeah, it's really interesting how tier 4 fractals are much easier than tier 1, 2, and 3. Okay, most people are here. Cancel the ready check. There's many reasons for that. So I don't use Arc, and I used to use it like religiously, and I used to use it both for tracking my heals and for tracking my DPS. Not so much my boons. I definitely did though. Boon up time being like the least important for me personally, but after a certain threshold, it's very well understood how optimal my rotations are and where I'm dropping. Opportunity or efficiency. So I stopped using it because there's more of a drawback for having it, and that I do, you know, remain very conscious of toxicity when I play games. I'm very aware of it. Although I might not be overt with my like opinion in Guild Wars, when I have Arc active, my inner dialogue is always very negative. It's negative towards other people, or it's negative towards myself, and so I don't have it active. If I can avoid using it, I will, because I don't want the feedback to be showing me how bad or how good other players are performing. It's very annoying, actually. It forces me to contend with the concept of good, bad, performance, optimal, I don't want to say the word, but it's very irritating for me to see it, and so the quality of life of not knowing is very important to me, and so not knowing is good, and I don't have to see how good or bad other players are performing. And I also don't have to judge myself, because I'm very scuffed. Until I complete my ambition, I will be very, very scuffed. Delayed gratification is the name of the game. We have very lofty ambitions, and to achieve those we must keep our nose to the grindstone and grind away, and it's not very fun, actually, I'm not gonna lie to you. But you know, the greater the risk, the greater the reward. The longer the grind, the bigger the win. Perhaps, maybe so. Maybe so. Not always, but maybe so. Ooh. Got some people behind, maybe? I think we're okay. This is probably the harder boss, one of the hardest bosses in the run. Looks like most people are here. We just need to not get one-tapped and we'll be fine. Speaking of getting one-tapped, there we go. The reason why we can't get one-tapped is because there might not be another healer in the group, and if there isn't, then the team is probably going to get wiped if we don't heal. Just like a dead DPS is no DPS, a dead healer is no healer, so that's not good. I think we stabilized though. Looks okay. Yeah, this type of content is very charming to me. Everybody gets to work together and experience the content as it was developed, and everybody wins. With the blessed RNG of the bag drops, it's nice. How's our volume? Canceling that was not intentional. But we got volume. Let's grab this. It's definitely a bit spicy for me to cancel my overload there. Okay, so that's number 2. I think there's 2 more locations, maybe 1 more location. In the Desolation for bounties? Is it 2? Yeah, maybe 2. Place the marker and then get there. These are going to go fast. We're going to do our best to keep everybody together. When people do these, they don't always have the waypoints, so it can be a bit of a challenge. I'm very much a fan of difficult stuff, but the most satisfying kind of epic win is where everybody is struggling to improve individually with their role in a static, and them being able to kind of transcend that over time and learn how to, you know, participate and contribute in their role. It's nice to watch the growth of other people, but Arc allows us the potential to consistently individually improve, while also being mindful of other players. But where there's toxicity is where people are policing each other. Never have I ever experienced more toxicity than when other players are policing me or when I'm forced to police other players. The most harmonious, and I would argue anyone in the world, the most harmonious environment is where players are policing themselves, where people are aware of the metrics and how to improve. So we have a player behind. I want to go revive them. I want to go revive them because maybe they don't have the waypoint. So I'm going to go see if I can grab them. If they're in quicksand, I will not be able to grab them. I hope they're not in quicksand. I hope they just died to something random. Normally I don't go out of my way, but it can be very, very kind, I think. Teamwork makes the dream work, baby! Let's go. Let's see, yeah, what's it worth? Struggling, try hard. I mean, I haven't been in a raid group for like 3 or 4 years, maybe. But the competency that I've obtained in the game is very difficult to obtain. And I do kind of have a sacred sense of confidence in this game, knowing how hard it was to achieve the competency that I have. And I hate to admit it, but I got a bit of a chip on my shoulder when it comes to joining other groups. When it comes to raids, some people put in the work, and some people just look to get carried. I have, for, you know, whatever it's worth, I've put in a tremendous amount of effort to get good at raids in this game. And it shows, and it's something that I can translate to other players. And it's something that I look to, you know, thrive in terms of that environment again. But there's no rush. I have a major ambition to complete that involves fashion, which we all know is the real endgame. And so that's going to take priority over returning to raids. With that said, my effort and my organization and my determination to complete my endgame ambition has been waning lately. I guess I'm pretty close to it, close to completing it, and there's something in me that's just kind of like not interested in following through, and I don't know what that is. I don't know how to, like, I don't know, cope with that. but I'm trying to just ignore it and just press through the monotonous, like boring kind of uneasy, ambiguous annoyance that is the grind at current. And one of the ways that I can do that is by doing some of my favorite content, which in Warframe is fissures, and in Guild Wars is bounties or world bosses. So we double back. Backtracking. Okay, we go back to Desert Highlands. We'll check for this legendary, and then we will go to Crystal Oasis. I hope that they're up. Considering the time frame for the full run of the legendary bounties, we should be able to hit all of them. It just requires a bit of backtracking. No legendary here. We've got the other two on the map, so now we're going to look for Choya and then Spark. What's the other legendary? It's the giant worm thing. Noon, leggy up. Nice, thank you. Okay. Let's go ahead and move from the Desolation back to Crystal Oasis.
Reports of creatures driven insane by light energy are coming from all. Infuriating!
Looks like everybody knows where the Choya is at. We're going to finish this legendary bounty train that ends in Amnoon, and then we're going to be moving on to other content. I don't know what I'm going to be playing. It's probably going to be Counter-Strike, though. Counter-Strike at some point, coming soon. Stabilizing my FPS has been so annoying. Yeah. I don't know if it's because it's hot or what, but... yeah. I dread saying that I want an upgrade, but... honestly, just knowing that my RAM is, like... it's something that I can't really change and access, although I was advertised a higher value. It's very irritating to me, because I'm leaving so much performance on the table. Look at this dude! Silly Choya. And yeah, if anybody has ever played a competitive FPS, you know how important it is to keep frames above the monitor's refresh rate, and we just can't help but dip no matter what we do. And even if we lock a frame rate target just below, it still dips significantly, and it feels almost like a stutter effect in our gameplay experience. So this is very annoying, and it's important to have grace and to take it easy on myself, because if I have frames, then I can, you know, try hard. If I don't have frames, I just kind of, I know, I gotta learn to let go. Especially when we're thinking about players that are competing at like 240 hertz refresh rates consistently, or 300 even worse. It can be very difficult to try to compete. And at this point in Counter-Strike, we are not even really yet a scrub. In order to be a scrub, we have to have developed an identity behind how we want to play the different lines from CT and T side to A and B site, and exactly what that looks like as an op main. And until that happens, we are not even a scrub at Counter-Strike. We can pop off from time to time, and our KDA might be, you know, kind of good, but ultimately, when it comes to committing to getting good at Counter-Strike, there's a lot more that goes into it, and coaching is going to become necessary. We eventually want to participate in Face It and Premiere, and so that's kind of part of the long game for us. It's a struggle. Everything is a struggle. It's been so nice to have Game Changer to kind of take me away from my grind, but it can also be a bit of a distraction. Looks like this is going to go down pretty quickly. Oof, it hurts. Someone's down here, I'll just get them up real quick. Okay, got one more legendary on this map. Let's see if we can get to it. This is the Corrupted Facet, I think. This game encourages the adventurous side, I think. And playing it blind allows for me to explore dungeons like they were intended, and just kind of get a, you know, that part of the mind that craves something unknown. And although I spend a lot of time looking things up, especially when getting stuck, I really prefer to play the games that I play blind, so that I can have that experience in, you know, continuity. It's very easy to get into a rhythm of doing the same old thing over and over and over again. And while I do grind quite a bit, I really cherish the moments where I'm surprised by the way the games are developed. And that can only happen if I don't look things up 24/7. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. How to play with more enjoyment. Find a way to embrace being blind. Spoiler alert. Which is happening right now in Final Fantasy X, which I'm playing thanks to Matt. Shoutouts to Matt. But also Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. And Overwatch is also a very welcome, kind of enjoyable thing. When I look at the game changer games that I'm playing, it takes the pressure off in many ways to know that somebody else requested them and that it's not something that I'm kind of determined to do. With that said though, I do want to be done with the determination that I have in Guild Wars and Warframe. So I can go back to enjoying so I can go back to enjoying them the way that I used to. There's something very nagging about feeling like there's unfinished business or something kind of left on the table, which is why I've been annoyed with my gameplay in competitive. Knowing that I'm not getting like a clean and smooth frame rate, and that I have jitter also, consistent jitter, it pisses me off actually. Because like, how can I possibly contribute effectively, and how can I possibly be at my best if I have frame dips and like essentially a micro stutter? And so fixing that is definitely a priority, but it's also, there's only so much I can do to improve my setup. I will check for this again, and then we will move on to Bobby. Bobby? Looks like we're almost done with this legendary train. If we can secure this, that means that the only legendaries left are in Bobby. And I hope they're available. I really do. No legendary here. That's unfortunate. On to Bobby. To Bobby, to Bobby, to Bobby. Oh, we actually don't want to give that waypoint. I want to give this one. It's much closer to where we want to be. Let's see. There we go. So yeah, we'll have to backtrack there and finish up there after Bobby. I hope that these legendaries are available. I very much enjoy playing a bunch of different games, and the games that I am insisting upon playing, like Magic, have a very high upkeep and very much require communication with other players to understand meta or to do some research on the forum. And I'd much rather my position, like playing with Matt and having an identity of this person knows more about the meta than I do, how can I pick their brain? That human experience is also why I play games, even though games can be a very distant kind of experience. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be, you know, a think tank solo experience. It very much can be, but I much prefer the human experience of being able to communicate, develop camaraderie, and understand another person's perspective and how they approach. And I used to get a lot of that from fighting games. But that was in an era where people played IRL. Now everything is done online. Everything is done with the safety of the internet. We don't have to really peer into the depths of another person's soul or deal with the consequences of maybe raging too hard. It can be nice. It can be nice in both directions, actually. Internet trolls thrive from being able to not have accountability and just go ham. But also, there's so much more, like there's a tremendous amount of reach that occurs from the modern state of gaming. So there's always pros and cons. Looks like most people are here anyway. But yeah, as much as I can impose the more human experience into the gameplay experience that I have, I tend to look at it like Jordan said, and I'm going to butcher it, but Jordan said something, and this is Michael Jordan, basketball legend, said something to the effect of skill needs to be developed and maintained in isolation and requires a heavy effort. But once you obtain that greatness, you should be reachable to other people. And that has been an inspiration to me, very much so. Yeah. Driving hard to grind competency and get good at something in private is definitely how music works for me as well. But at some point, we gotta give it back. And how can we give it back if we just, you know, keep to ourselves? At some point, we gotta be available and open. Not necessarily to intend to coach, but just proximity. The proximity effect is so wonderful. Being within proximity of other people, their, you know, skill ceiling, skill set, is transformative. A lot of the people that I really enjoy spending time with in Guild Wars are just like unique individuals who have a lot of skill, but maybe they don't spend a lot of time coaching me or telling me things. It's just their will. It's their persona. It's the way that they kind of develop as a human being. It's really inspirational, actually. Those are the kind of people that I can rely on when things get tough, actually. And life definitely gets tough. We all have to go through loss. Some sooner or later, you know? So I made the coffee. Coffee's good. This boss is kind of nuts, I remember. So what we don't want is to use our rebound yet. We want the other players to get in. Now there goes the rebound. We want to break the bar ASAP. Now we can swap. Just pump out the healing. I'll never forget the first time I cleared a raid. It was on Masterwork gear with Scepter Warhorn. Elementalist healer, Tempest. I remember getting kicked out of pug groups even though I had more experience than like the people that I would join and try to, you know, play with. Because I had been breaking the meta for the Ellie and healing. And there's a very old video on my YouTube that shows this, and I think it has comms actually. But it's me in Masterwork gear, Scepter Warhorn, where like I would get kicked if I didn't play staff in pugs. I wanted to heal as the Ellie before it was even possible. Like, before HOTS came out, I wanted to run Magi's gear, and I really wanted to be a healer in dungeons. But nobody wanted me to be healing because the meta for Ellie was downstate victory, staff, like glass cannon, and I just hated that playstyle actually. I hated being forced into that playstyle. And so while I was running in monk gear and just like theory crafting how to heal in dungeons, you know, HOTS was brewing, and that was cool. I'm really, really comfortable on the Elementalist, but the Tempest is more my style. Damage numbies are important, and eventually we will be a DPS main, as opposed to a support main. Or support flex, actually. And that is going to be a kind of a hard road, but it is one that we're familiar with. The only encounter that I was really behind on in the statics that I was in was on Karn for the Mirage opener. I couldn't have good numbers on Mirage. Looks like everybody's already with it. We'll just ready check here. And so while my teammates were hitting 40k on like opening 30 seconds on Karn, I was hitting like 20, 25, which was kind of shameful, but from that moment on I just decided to be in Chrono Jail because it's better that I'm in Chrono Jail, while the other players are like top tier DPS than for me to like try to scuff my way through DPS. But now we're gonna put our try-hard caps on and get back to the ideal for being a DPS main at a high level. And it's fun. It's an individual journey. It's an individual battle on Golem. But I'm in good company, and hopefully I can ask a lot of questions and learn a lot from other players as well, which is also a very important aspect of this game for me. Being able to learn from other people, being able to communicate as much as I carry, to be carried, and get along, getting to know other people too. This game is very unique in that the community is quite compassionate. I think as a whole, players are very willing to go out of their way to help each other, and while I saw like a heavy degree of toxicity early on in HOTS release for raids, a lot of that has softened over the years, even though the community is quite small, I would say, that regularly does raids, which is kind of interesting to me. Somebody kind of alluded to that in a discussion a couple months ago, and I was like, oh. So they didn't make raids easier. They power crept each character more, but they didn't make raids easier. And that's great. I think raids should be hard and they should stay hard. But as a consequence, there's a very small degree of players, small amount of players that are doing that content. That's kind of annoying, actually. Because I still have the 4th set of legendary armor to get on my alt account, so that I can get back into raids. And it's dumb. What's also even more dumb is that I already completed Demos, I just forgot to click the Crystalline Heart, which is like extra dumb. It's dumb sauce. Very dumb. But this happens. Sometimes the easier stuff is the harder stuff. Where is this? Okay.
And now, to destroy you.
Looks like everybody's ready here. Yep, we're in the right place. I guess we get moving. Okay. I much prefer, at least if I'm short on time, to do just the legendary bounties. It's more consistent. I could always find them. We know that it's a 30-minute cooldown on the legendaries, and so we can get it in and then move on to other things. But I do enjoy the 4-hour tour for the full bounty train as well. It's nice. Just a little bit more exhausting. Let's see if this thing is up. Big Jin. Two more, I'm told. Which one am I missing? Is it 2 more? No, wait. No leggy here. Anyone have any leggies? No leggy here, no leggy here. Should be here, but it's not here. If not, we call it. Can't think of any more legendaries. We did Choya, we did Worm, we did Corrupt Faucet. Yeah, we did Corrupt Faucet, I'm pretty sure. GG. GG. I think that's it.